Hey there, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Contrast Project Lounge. And as part of our ongoing series of Women Behind the Kit, I'm really excited about this particular episode. I had the unique opportunity to interview one of Northeast Florida's premier female drummers, Miss Bea Gayle. Let's go ahead and do it. B and I uh, got to talking uh, early on about her history and what drives her, and we talked about some of the things she uses in her kit, the way she plays, how she plays either in the pocket or she's a groove drummer. It was a delightful interview, and you can find the Contrast Project Lounge. You can find the Contrast Project Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, share, and comment. And on our YouTube channel, you can like, share, and comment and smash the subscribe button so that you get all the notifications for all of our new and upcoming episodes. And we have a lot of episodes coming up. I'm telling you, I'm going into season 4 now, and it's just blowing my mind. You guys have been so supportive. We even have a lot of swag coming up, and your support means everything to me. So let's go ahead and talk to B. B. We're back, kids, and I'm joined right now as part of our continuing series on Women Behind the Kit, influential female drummers, past and present. And joining me in this episode is Miss Bea Gayle, who resides in St. Johns County and has just got a phenomenal background and playlist here and background with local bands and touring bands and everything. And I'm looking at the list, and it's quite impressive. B, how you doing?
I am doing incredible right now. My life is extremely blessed right now, and I am so happy. So yeah, how you doing, Tracy? Out there, in Middleburg, the Berg.
I'm out in the Berg and I'm fighting the skeeters. I've been, I've told people for the longest time over and over and over that I'm just waiting on it to dry up long enough for me to mow the entire property. I have to mow it in sections because some of it is still ankle deep in mud. But it's slowly drying up, and I'll get some of it mowed again. I got about half of it mowed the other day. So, I mean, that to me to me that's an accomplishment.
Yeah, my brother lives out there on the west side, and he's got a huge backyard, and it just turns into a lake every time it rains.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I was talking earlier. I was saying earlier. I said something about fighting the skeeters. Let me show you something I got. Can you see these? I'm holding up some baby drumsticks.
Yeah,
You know what they are? Uh, They're pins. They're ink pens. I'll tell you who sent them to me. Commissioner Trish Becker sent me these things. I had her on the show as one of the women behind the kit and a successful, elected official for the county of St. John's. And we just hit it off. And we had met a long time ago and corresponded over the years, and it just happens that she loves playing the drums and loves drumming and loves live concerts, and she calls herself a hobbyist, and she said that, I feel kind of humbled to being being in the presence of all these other, ladies that are in this series that are, out there, busting their humps playing the drums on a regular basis. And she calls herself a hobbyist. And I told her, I said, you're a drummer. You're a drummer. Drummer's a drummer.
Yeah, it's funny. Artemis Pyle one time actually called me. He called me a true drummer, but I said to him, I said, "Yeah, you probably say that to all the chick drummers."
Oh, that's yeah, yeah, right. I and I mentioned something to Tori the other night that I had, and I just told you that I'm going to be talking with a military veteran advocate who happens to be a woman, and I had mentioned to her about this series, the series of female drummers, influential female drummers, past and present. And she said, "Well, there's really not that many of them, are there?" I told her, I said, "You would really be surprised. They may not get the notoriety and they may not be recognized, but I'll tell you what, a lot of the music you grew up listening to had women playing drums or percussion on them. A lot of them."
Yes, unfortunately, most of them are, under the blanket of obscurity, and the only ones that are out in the open are, just the few, the ones that get the notoriety. But and that's unfortunate, still to this day. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a really good thing. I don't know if you're involved with Tori's little project right now, the sad girls happy hour thing that she's doing around. See, I think it's mostly Jacksonville though, but she is doing a thing down at Sarbez, which would be down towards your neck of the woods.
hmm yeah, no, I haven't heard anything about it, unfortunately. But I will definitely find out about that.
Yeah, it's Sad Girls Happy Hour, and it's actually not just the female drummer aspect of it, but all the musicians are drummers, are females, guitar players, singers, keyboard players. They're all women.
Okay, awesome. That sounds good. I mean, we need stuff like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I told her that it would be a good thing, to possibly, get with the people, and that we could make that happen. We- get with the people over at Folio and let them know what's going on about that whole thing. I know Shelton already knows about it, but you know, I think it would be something. I think it would be worthy of covering. I do.
Definitely, there's multiple, in both counties, and promoters and all that. A lot of people around that we know that we could
Yeah.
help out with that for sure.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Uh, well, B, let's talk about some of your background and some of the working parts, the nuts and bolts of your bio. Born on the northeast side of Jacksonville. I was born on the north side myself. Now you were born on the northeast side of Jacksonville. In what 19? No, your parents moved to Jacksonville in '69
Correct.
from Virginia, and then after growing up, I suppose you took a lot of trips, up and down the East Coast between Jacksonville and Virginia.
Yes, sir. Apparently, from what I understand, the first week that I was born, my parents were hauling me back and forth to Virginia literally every weekend. So that was, I think that pretty much contributed to my love of traveling and touring, and my parents were just huge music fans, and they were partiers, they were partying and drinking, and I think all of that had a big influence on me, but in a positive way. So
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of musicians in my family, and I think and I know for a fact, it had much to do with me getting involved in it. We used to have my father played acoustic guitar, harmonica, that kind of thing, and my mother always sang. Uh, my mother's brothers were in bands together. One a lead guitar player, one a rhythm guitar player. They played for the USO when they were in the military. And one of my uncles, I don't know if you remember the guy, Ray Mosier, he owned Fat City Saloon out at Mayport. And a lot of the local Southern rock bands frequented the place. A lot of the guys, Johnny Van Zant, Ricky Medlock, yeah, oh,
Yeah, that Southern rock is prevalent with
yeah,
Jacksonville. You know.
yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Yeah, it is. And that's not a bad thing. I've never been a super big fan of the whole, genre of Southern rock, but there are definitely a whole lot of quote Southern rock musicians and songs and lyrics of the songs that were powerful in my upbringing. And of course, like I said, I met a lot of those people just by playing in my uncle's bar out of Mayport. So, I mean, it's always been a part of my life, and it's going to be a part of your life one way or another, if you like it or not. If you grow up in the South, I mean, you're going to hear it, you're going to be around it, just like. Just like country music, you're going to be around it. You're going to be surrounded by it. So, I mean, there, there's no if you're a true musician, you're not going to fight it. You're not going to fight it. You find the good in everything. All genres of music are, to me, music is music. If there's a live drummer, now, 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 I said that purposely, a live drummer.
Yeah. Yeah, most definitely. That's what it's all about. You definitely
I've
won't.
heard. Yeah,
You definitely will not never see me playing an electric
yeah,
kit. That's for sure. The acoustic kit is where it's at.
yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. I had some electronic drums for a while, and I played this top 40 gig at Walt Disney World out there on Pleasure Island, and it was all electronic, and it was all click tracks, and all this stuff. And honestly, the pay was good, but I hated it. And the music wasn't horrible. It's just the way they had it set up. I mean, you had to play this electronic kit. You had to listen to this click track to play along with, and there's two or three, female singers in the front dancing, while, like I said, it was good money, but I honestly, I hated it.
I've actually heard that story multiple times about some friends who have played Disney, and the money was great, but they hated it. That's exactly what they said.
Oh yeah, they pay real well. You can make a good living playing down there if you want to, conform to that. But I did it for a short while, and then I said to hell with it. But and uh, some of the stuff that you've been exposed to, covers a lot of things. Tell us a little bit about that. You're exposed to bebop, classic country, bluegrass, everything.
Yeah, I mean, I owe all of that to my parents. I mean, I just there really are no words to describe how my parents were. They were incredible, incredible music fans, and that rubbed off on me. I pretty much owe everything to my parents. They were absolutely incredible, and unfortunately, it was too late before I realized just how awesome they were. And I recently had an idea of taking my parents' ashes and getting them. I have a guy out of Wilmington, North Carolina. He owns a drum company. His name's Tony Holland. The name of his company is Title Works Drum Company, and he has built for Craig Barnett of Mofro. He has built for Amy Helm, who is Levon Helm's daughter. Uh, and
Oh
so
my goodness.
Yeah. So he made me a snare drum. He made me a 14 by 8 birch snare drum, and then he took my parents' ashes and spread them over the clear of the drum. Sprayed a little bit of clear, and then sprinkled the ashes onto the clear, and then cleared again over that. And
Oh,
he used a cheese dispenser to do it with, and I said that that was absolutely perfect because my parents were so cheesy. It was amazing.
that is incredible. That's an incredible story. I, let, you know what, B? Nobody in the world has another story like that.
It's definitely an awesome story and one that I will treasure forever. That's for sure.
Nobody can compete with that one. I'll tell you that for sure. Uh, Now I ask it. Yeah, I ask everybody. I ask all the women in this series. Um, First of all, at what age did they actively start playing drums and not just beating on pots and pans? But at what age did they start playing drums? And at what age did you get your first drum kit?
Well, I try to never divulge any age numbers, but what I will say is that I started in 1990, and in 1990, I received a drum kit from one of my sister's husbands. They had a little musical outfit together, and he had like an old pearl kit laying around, and it had two bass drums. And so I had this old blue green sparkled pearl kit. That was my first kit, but it didn't last too long. Uh, but so the real my first real kit was like a Pearl Export series, and it really was a piece of shit. But I had that for quite a while, and that thing, it was white and it turned yellow, because it was a white wrap, so it turned yellow from all the bars, over the years.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I'm gonna tell you, I played Pearl exports. I played exports for years. My very first kit, my dad got at Sears and Roebuck, so I can't even remember the name brand of it. And the cymbals were just trash can lids, basically. uh, and then they realized that I started garage band kind of stuff, and people started coming over to play and jam and all that stuff, and none of us were really good. We were just making noise, and to be honest. uh, but then we were started offered they started people started offering us to play at parties and stuff like that. So my dad went to Music City downtown Jacksonville and bought me this enormous Slingerland kit. I was totally shocked. I We actually walked. I remember Butch, who used to own Music City. He's passed away, but walked into the store there and just told. But I saw this big black. They were open ended. There were no resonettes. Uh, but this huge Slingerland kit and some nice big stands and cymbals and all this stuff, and I knew it was way the hell out of my budget. But I was jokingly told Butch with my dad standing there. I said that's I want that kit right there. And my dad said okay. No shit.
What road was that on? Because I used to go there. I used to go there all the time. I remember that place. Was it down on State or something like?
It was on Atlantic Boulevard. The one on State is Ocean. Well, right at Ocean, that would be Fred Paulus. And then before that was Marvin Kay's was on Main Street. That one closed way before. Now Fred Paulus, I worked at Fred Paulus for a while in my later years there. I guess in my 20s. Fred passed away several years ago, and now it's Volunteers in Medicine. It's a shame. It's a shame because Fred was there for God 35, 40 years. Yeah.
That's the one I was thinking of. Yes.
Yeah, had the big staircase going up to the top and all kinds of sheet music in the store. And his big thing was Martin guitars. He had Martin acoustic guitars that he kept in a safe. He kept them in a big safe. He wouldn't let anybody play them, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, that was the first music store I ever really started going to, was that one on Ocean there, and then after that it was Pro Music, on Atlantic,
Yeah.
and that's where I got the Pearl drum kit from.
Pro, yep, yep.
Yep. So
Yeah. Now he moved pro a couple times. I'm not sure. I don't know if pro is still around. If it is, it's just a small place because it used to be much bigger. Yeah, yeah, it used to be much bigger, and then they went to a small shop, and they might have gone out of business. I don't know. But all the really cool music stores in Jacksonville that we all used to hang out at, they're gone.
they are. Have you been to Daytona Drum Shop yet?
I've not been to the drum shop. I've been to several music stores around Daytona and Orlando though. But not the is it called the Daytona Drum Shop?
It sure is. You need to go there. It's amazing.
Oh. I visited one time years ago, and it's the only place I've ever been to in New York was Sam Ash Music in New York, the original Sam Ash. And of course they're franchised and all over the place. But I went to the original Sam Ash in New York long time ago, and it was the only stop that I was able to make. I never made it into the city. I've never seen anything, Times Square or anything, but I did see Sam Ash.
Yeah, I like the smaller drum
Yeah.
shops myself, and Daytona Drum Shop is the closest thing that we have to
Yeah.
anything like Forks in Tennessee, or anything like that.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you, the cost of drums being what they are, prohibitive for a lot of budding and upcoming drummers. For a lot of young drummers coming up, it's almost just cost prohibitive. It's way out there. A lot of young drummers, they have to struggle on a used trap kit for years and years and years before they're able to finance something at an upper level or a higher level. But yeah, I mean, you're playing out. If you're playing out on a regular basis and you're cracking cymbals and you're busting stands and your pedal chain breaks and all that stuff, man, you're talking about a car payment just to replace a nice set of pedals.
Well, if all of that is happening in the first place, you need to check your technique.
Well, yeah. Well. You got. Well, I'm gonna tell. I don't know. What side? What? Let me ask you about not technique, but an equipment question. What stick what is your go-to stick when you're gigging? And are the sticks that you use at a gig different than the ones you use when you're at home practicing?
At home practicing, that's pretty funny in my case. My go-to stick, my go-to stick is the 7A maple dipstick, the Zildjian
Okay.
dipsticks. But also what I use is
Okay.
the oh Lord, the what are they called? You done caught me on that one. The hot rods. I use literally for years now.
Okay.
Literally for years now, I've used a hot rod in my right hand and the dipstick in my left hand. I just love.
Oh, so you switch it up a little.
Well, that's pretty much how I play, especially if it's lighter music. I just love the way that hot rod sounds on the hi-hat. It's just a warmer sound. Just gives it some personality.
Yeah. And you're a right-handed drummer?
I am.
Me too. Uh, another question. Another question with sticks. Are you grip? Are you predominantly a matched grip or traditional grip or a mixture of both?
Well, because I'm self-taught, it's all match grip all the time. Unfortunately, I would love to be able to play traditional grip, and sometimes I do just to show off. but but for the most part, it's match grip.
I'm right there with you, sister. My left hand is about as lame as can be. I can't get it to do traditional. I've tried it, and sometimes I've got a cajon that I play with all the time. I love my cajon, and it's got a rubber pad on the top, and I can use the top of it, from for a little bit of stick practice. And I try it, with the traditional grip, but I never can get the right pop with that left hand, traditional. And I often talk about one of my favorite drummers who uses. Now I've got a lot of favorite drummers, but this guy is phenomenal at using both traditional and matched, and that would be Todd Zuckerman, who is currently playing with Sticks. Has been with him, I don't know, God, 20 years now, something like that. But uh, some of his online drum stuff and his YouTube videos, he goes back and forth between matched and traditional, and it's just the power he gets when he's using traditional is just, to me, phenomenal.
Yeah, it blows my mind the power that some of these guys can get with that traditional grip. I mean, obviously there's plenty out there, but Stuart Copeland, Steve Smith, all
Oh
those
yeah,
guys,
yeah,
they
yeah.
blow me away.
Oh, Steve.
Have you listened to Yeah, have you listened to Steve Smith's stuff with his Vital Information group, his jazz group?
I absolutely have, and he still
Oh.
to this day blows my mind. I mean, Journey still is one of my favorite bands of all time because I am just in love with Steve Perry's voice, and I always have been. But Steve Smith, I actually met Steve Smith way back in somewhere around 2001 in Orlando, and just incredible drummer.
Oh yeah, yeah. Uh, and a lot of people that are outside of the drumming community, just the other people. If you mention Steve Smith, the drummer, to the other people, a lot of them don't know who the hell you're talking about. But every single one of us know.
Yep. Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I could talk gear all day
Oh, I
long.
know,
So
I know.
I'm definitely a big gearhead. I just have never really always had the luxury of owning a lot of gear.
Yeah. I think, uh, me personally, I was talking to several male and female drummers, just drummers in general. I've told people long and hard that I'd go for a really quality 5-piece kit and a handful of cymbals any day over some of those monstrosities that I see out there. And I mean, I give it to people like Terry Bozzio and Neil Peart and, oh God, there's a handful of others that have these monstrosity drum kits. And and I get it. I mean, it looks great on stage and you can get a lot of tunes out of it. But let me tell you something. I have heard some badass solos performed on a 3-piece kit.
Yes, sir. Benny Greb. Have you ever heard of Benny Greb?
So, I have.
Benny Greb, Nate Smith, all those guys are just fucking unbelievable on a 3 or 4 piece kit. I mean, they just blow my mind.
Yeah, you don't need an awesome kit if you got the chops. You don't need a huge kit. I mean, Buddy Rich, Johnny Carson. I mean, his ilk and all those guys. They played small kits. They played small kits, and basically back in those days, a lot of those kits were really kind of crappy. Uh, uh, the the technology behind drum manufacturing has just gone crazy. I'd probably give one of my feet for a nice Sonar DW kit right now, a small one, 3, 4, 5 piece. I was telling Melanie Joe, I forget, maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, that I could go for a small kit. I'm kind of a brass head. I really like a lot of brass. Uh, a couple of rides, a couple of crashes, splashes, all this. I'm not big on the gongs, but I do like a lot of brass. Uh, Two hi hats, but a small kit is good enough for me. I've never been a flashy drummer. I've always been one of those pocket guys. So if I can hit the pocket with 3 pieces and got plenty of nice brass, I'm happy.
Most definitely. I have all kinds of influences, and I actually love fusion playing, and I love to play fusion type drumming. I mean, I love to play all kinds of drumming, but I like my drums. I like my shells to sing, and I don't like to muffle my shells at all. I guess because of my fusion influence.
Yeah.
So I've been self-taught, and just everything is just it is just that way, and so it's just the way I've been molded. I'm a very organic type drummer,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
organic, and it doesn't take much. I mean,
Yeah.
a plain simple beat is can move millions of people. So
Yeah. Now you talk about making your shells sing. I'm assuming that you're playing with wood shells. I'm going to ask you, what's the makeup of your shells? 5 ply, 7 ply, more or less, maple, birch.
unfortunately, I'm not sure about the plies on my kit. It's a Yamaha Stage Custom, and I
Hmm.
believe it's the birch. Yeah, it's the birch. Yeah,
Yamaha's Stage Custom, I believe, is 5 ply, so it's relatively thin. So they sing pretty loud.
dude, they stay in tune like you would not believe. And what I hate is that your drums sound different in every freaking room that you play, but they still stay in tune and they sound amazing. So you know, I'm happy with that.
Yeah, yeah. Do you tune by? Let me ask you this: do you tune by ear, or do you use any kind of pitch devices?
I tune by ear. I always have. I've pretty much done every single thing in my entire life organically. And I've had lots of people rave about how my
Yeah.
drums sound, and I like I said, tune them myself. If everybody else is happy, I'm happy.
And do you? Let me ask you another thing, and this is kind of a common question amongst drummers. When you're tuning your batters and your resonets, are you going, a half step above normal on your batter than your resonet, or are you going by ear? Uh, are you going for, just above it, getting a rattle on the resonet, where it's really flat, or how are you getting that? Because the boom sounds different.
Yeah, I do the high to low thing. The high toms I like them higher, a little bit higher, almost to jazz sounding, And then, the lower you go, you want a deeper sound. You want that kick, the deepest, obviously. And speaking of which, I had always had a hard time finding a good kick drum head. And I saw a video of Mofro one day with when they were playing with Anthony Cole, and his kick. It was like a light went off. I heard that kick drum, and it was like God singing. And I was like, I messaged Anthony, and I was like, what head are you using in this video right here? And he told me it's a Evans EMAD. It's the black EMAD, and it is the best sounding kick drum head I've ever fucking heard in my life. And he has never used anything since, and I have never used anything else since.
I never used, after I got turned on to the entire Evans line, they pretty much dominated all of my heads. Pretty much from top to bottom. And plus I used flam slams on my kick drums when I had two bass drums, but then I went to one bass drum with a double kick pedal, and I used a hard beater with the flam slams, and I tuned it a little bit low using an Evans hydraulic head. And that thing was boomy. It had some boom to it.
Yeah, I like I like a sweet spot with the kick. I don't like it too boomy, and I don't like it clicky. I like that really deep, warm, flat kick sound, and so yeah, it's hard to find. It could take you years to find the sound that you want.
It takes years, and it takes practice with a number of beater heads. I don't know how many, when I finally retired my drum kit, which is not totally, I'm going to call it semi-retired. When I finally did that, I got a box full of different beater heads. I mean, from the big round ones to the small round ones to the flat heads to the hard heads. I mean, I tried every kind of beater head I could find.
Yeah, I still actually have never used a wood beater. I still have the what are they, the nylon or the plastic ones? But I do have one of those felt beaters.
Yeah.
I use a felt beater in the studio for sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the wood one will put holes in your head. The wood one will dent up your. The wood ones will dent up your head unless you're using some ring dots or some flam slams, whatever. It'll just put dimples in your head.
Yeah, I try not to. I'm not really that hard of a hitter unless, sometimes I do get the craving to rock the fuck out a lot of times. But other than that, I'm a pretty light. I'm a pretty light hitter. But try to use the one ply. The one ply heads on my snare drum are the best sounding in my opinion. And then you'll go from a single ply, on your snare and upper toms until you get down to the lower tom and the kick, where you really do need a 2-ply head to give it that deeper sound. So yeah.
I've always used. Now I said I was a Evans head guy. That's pretty much on the rest of the kit. With my stairs, I've always been a Remo guy, and always for me, I've always liked the coated heads. And the only problem is, playing out and doing, rock shows and stuff like that, and sometimes, you get carried away and you hit a little bit too hard. You go crazy with the rim. You go crazy with the rim shots, and you just start feeling good, and it goes a little far. And I was telling Tori the other night, I said the only way I could combat that, to save some embarrassment, was at least to make sure somebody had my back and I carried an extra snare drum. Because it takes too long to change a head. It takes too long to change the head. Just swap out your snare.
I mean, I don't care who you are, what kind of musician you are. You need to have a backup for sure.
Hey, B, Tell me a little bit about some of the bands you have been playing with. I'm looking at the bio here, and it's amazing. I know you spent, one of your crown jewels, of course, is with JJ, uh, Gray and Mofro, and of course, he's the one that called you the Pocket Master.
Well, there's a lot of pocket masters out there, but I mean, it's nice to be called that. It's nice to be called that from John. I call him John. I've never called him JJ, just because I've known those guys for so long. But it's nice to be,
Right.
it's nice to be dubbed that from a good friend of mine and somebody who has an incredible voice. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, I've never actually met John in person, but I have seen the group play many a time. When I was in my days, covering bands and stuff for Folio and hanging out, doing that kind of thing. I had the unique opportunity, and plus in several other jobs, to go hang out backstage and see a lot of bands and go to a lot of concerts and all this other stuff, and cover shows and things. But I didn't often. It wasn't always a practice or a happenstance that I got to meet a lot of them. So I haven't met him. In fact, I haven't met you in person, but I have heard a lot of good things. I have heard Tori play, but we never actually were introduced. That actually comes in part and parcel when I was covering bands too. I actually went into clubs and listened to bands and all that stuff. And a lot of times it was with some of the people with Folio, but we never actually got to talk with some of the musicians. I find that unfortunate, but it was kind of one of those things. A lot of the time when we were covering and writing about bands and listening to bands, a lot of the time we had to cover a lot of ground in only a couple of days. So we were popping into festivals and popping into clubs and popping into shows and concerts and this and that. We'd go in, hear a set, and then boom, we had to go. And we'd have photographers with us and that kind of thing. And it didn't disillusion me about that aspect of it because it was always fun, and I still love doing it. The only thing that I have to say about that is that it is unfortunate that I haven't been able to, have a face-to-face with a lot of the people that I interview on the podcast. But we're making some changes coming up. Shelton, this whole thing is in flux. Shelton and I are, on the move, making some changes about this and other portions of the podcast and the show. And so we'll see where 2023 goes.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of that comes with the territory, really, of anything you do. I mean, it's kind of the same with touring. You're in and you're out, and nobody gets hurt in every town that you're in, and you never really see much of it. And I've done a lot of touring.
No.
Yeah, I've done a lot of touring.
And because sometimes technology goes to shit, I have to cut it off. It was a great interview, and I will tell you guys that B is an amazing person. If you ever have the chance to go out and see B play with whoever, mostly in St. Johns County, I would say, you got to do it. You got to do it. And this woman has made an amazing contribution to the drumming world. Women in drumming, I'm going to go on to say that as long as I have been listening to rock and roll, or jazz, or blues, anything, you guys need to understand that probably a gracious handful of the people you've been listening to playing those drums were women. That's amazing to me. Uh, to me, it's not amazing, really. I mean, it's like it is what it is. It should be that way. When I listen to people playing drums, go back. I want you to go and explore. Google it, YouTube it, whatever the fuck you want to do. You will find that some of the most amazing drum solos were performed by women. I mean, everybody listens to all this Johnny Carson shit, you know. I mean, guys, you know, my age with the gray beards. We remember Johnny Carson, and he always had all these people on his show, and, you know, they were all great drummers. And hey, Johnny Carson was a great drummer, true. He wasn't half bad. He had the traditional grip thing going on, you know, whatever. And all those guys were great. But if you go back into those years, go back years, you will find there were so many women that contributed to the body of drumming. That's all I got to say. And in closing out this series, I will say, you know, guys, take care of yourselves and each other. Peace and love.